You're an idiot!
Hey folks, Mike Schrampke and Jake Mahalko, Larry Stovesand Equipment at the Pleasant View store. Jake is the parts and service manager, and I'm me. Been a while since we've done some comments, reading some comments from the YouTube comments, and there's a few questions and whatnot, and thought we'd do some. So most of these they mentioned Jake or refer to Jake, so I'm going to read a couple of them, and you can comment or choose to comment if you wish, or
Absolutely.
good. At Donald's Tri-Shock 3923, do the ear D-rings come with the trailers as the tie-down equipment? Jake did a video on a couple of pretty nice heavy hitter trailers that we got in recently, and
Donald, I'm not 100% certain exactly what you're talking about. Ear D-rings, I'm unfamiliar with that term, but as far as regular D-rings go, yes, they do come standard inside the dump bed. And again, if you go back to that video and watch it, we do show that there are state pockets down the entire outside of the bed as well. So you have plenty of tie-down points to secure whatever you're planning on transporting in the trailer. That's not a problem.
the next people, they are so kind. They comment all the time on our videos. At Wendy and Jody Malliot, 7503. Jake, those are some very nice trailers. Thanks for sharing. Take care, and I'll see you down the road. Not much to comment on there, but thank you for your support. Yeah, they're cool folks. Now I think it's the same fella. The Donald's Tri-Shock 3923. A lot of work just to swap out a new Hydro Slacko Hollow Slip-O-Matic unit. Jake and Tom did a time lapse on a tractor that they wanted to just demonstrate what it takes, to split a tractor in half and then take the cab off, because that's where the transmission is.
Yeah, I mean, transmissions aren't like in these units, tractors, equipment. It's not like having a car to where you could just drop it out and you throw a new one in. Tractors are built around themselves. So whenever you do have to do any sort of transmission work or anything even to the rear end, it unfortunately requires the tractor to be split. And in this case too, where we have a cab unit, the cab has to be removed as well. It's not a quick job, but unfortunately that's the job at hand. From start to finish, a job like that typically takes 8 to 10 hours. And yeah, you have to get to what you have to get to. Tractors are built around themselves.
I think it's incredible to be able to do it in 8 to 10 hours. Here, I'm going to date myself. When I was a kid, back in my day, I had a 70 Chevelle SS. Yeah, I wish I still did. It had a turbo 400 automatic, and I replaced it with a rebuild. And seriously, I replaced it with a rebuild. I was 18 years old, and that's about how difficult something like that was. Times have changed. I know from my Ford experience that Ford Super Duties, much of the repairs come after the cab is pulled off. The entire cab goes up in the air.
Yeah, that's almost a diesel standard now, just because things have gotten tight that if you're doing any substantial amount of work, a trained technician can usually have a cab off of a truck in about an hour.
That's the way it's done. Okay, thank you for the comment. And I have to assume you don't like hydrostat transmissions. Point taken. At Jake, I'm not going to try to read these, but at Jake. You did a little shot of an Ironcraft 2510 10-foot cutter, new rotary cutter, it's 10 feet. It said 7-foot outside wheel to outside wheel folded. I guess a question. We're trying to find a rotary cutter to fit inside of a storage shipping container while the shop gets built. So he must be having some architectural stuff built and he needs a place to store it. I looked it up. The Ironcraft 2510 10-foot rotary cutter is exactly 7 feet across, side to side.
That'll fit you into a shipping container. Good deal.
Okay, Now this guy, I can't agree more. And I didn't put his name down. I cannot agree more. You bring your mechanic in. Well, he's not a mechanic, but that's okay. You bring your mechanic in to go over a tractor's engine stuff, and you kept interrupting him. It was really annoying. Yes.
Folks, even though Mike's been in this game a long time, Mike himself doesn't get to pull a lot of hoods off of a lot of tractors. He's like a kid in a candy shop around this stuff to this day. He enjoys learning. He enjoys seeing and oohing and eyeing, just like the rest of you folks. Unfortunately, we heard him and not so much you.
I'm having a hard time not jumping in here. Yes, I do, and I get excited. He's right. But yes, I get it. Okay, appreciate the info. I've got a 4020, I guess he means tractor not loader, CK4020. I do the maintenance on it, and I was unaware that the water in fuel warning sensor, so I guess he's saying he didn't know that there was an actual warning sensor, a light on the dash when the water is full.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people I know I've even talked to that come in for their routine maintenance are unaware of the same thing, and they've got 500 to 700 hours on these units, and honestly, that means you're getting good fuel. You're getting good fuel or you're getting it from a reliable source, and it's being stored properly. You're not leaving your fuel cap off, and it's not triggering the sensor to empty anything out of the bowl. So you're getting good quality stuff, and it's not even throwing any indication that there could be an issue starting to develop.
Let me ask you best practice, or does it matter? Would a person be better to run the fuel tank near empty and then fill it back up, or when he's done using the tractor, top it off every time?
I'd say it's neither really here nor there. It's mostly personal preference. I know, being a tractor user and owner myself, you just kind of put fuel in when you need fuel. But storing fuel properly is a big thing. I know a lot of people are guilty of using fuel cans, and there's nothing wrong with using fuel cans, but then leaving them outside.
What does that do?
It can allow for water intrusion. And once you have water intrusion, you're going to start seeing this indicator on your dash populate to tell you to drain the bowl more frequently. And that just means that it's doing its job too, and it's not allowing water to go into the fuel system, which could cause all sorts of issues if allowed.
And if the cans are getting old and nasty and rusty, that's a whole different thing.
Time to freshen up and start over.
Yeah, with a yellow plastic can. I mean, they're not traditional looking, but they also don't rust.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yellow, because
It's a diesel.
it's a diesel. You don't want to confuse people. Okay, this one takes a minute to read, but it's kind of cool. Appreciate the exposed view and tour A+. This was the hoods off that Jake did. My CK 3510 SE hydrostat had its first regen at 36 hours. Had to admit I was apprehensive about the procedure. I had reviewed the procedure in the manual, well there's a rarity, before the first regeneration. When I pressed the regeneration switch and the engine revved up to a pretty high RPM, that's an understatement, I cringed. While it was running, I kept a close eye on the temperature gauge, thinking it would equal the temperature of the sun. Never exceeded the normal operating temperature. Next, after thinking the engine would never return to a normal running RPM, it took about 10 minutes. At the completion of the cycle, page 2 please, back down to normal RPM, no problem whatsoever. I would respectively suggest that KIOTI manual, as well as the dealer, might inform the owners what to expect in regard to the high RPM. No more cringing. Thanks, best regards. Agreed. This one, great video. I have questions for Jake. Why is every one of these you? Great video. I have a question for Jake. On the newer model, KIOTI has switched the coolant to pink from ethyl glycol, did they?
They did actually, probably a year or two ago. They switched from your traditional green everyday coolant
Stuff you've been using since...
over to a pink oats formula. The pink oats formula, I know I've had customers reach out to me having trouble trying to find it. This new pink formula that they started putting in the tractors is, you can either find it as one of two categories. Either one as a heavy duty coolant for tractor trailers, which you could still get at your local auto parts store, or more of a Euro blend. But they're supposed to have better cooling properties with a little bit more organic compound in it. It's supposed to have a longer shelf life and not deteriorate so much over time. But even getting back to the question, would you recommend fully draining and flushing the radiator and block and switching to the pink coolant? I can't really say yes or no to that. I don't believe in the years that they've switched over that there have been any modifications to the engine or cooling system for the engine. So in that regards, I would say it's okay or safe to do so. However, I would stick with whatever the manufacturer gave you from the get-go. Mm-hmm. If you've got green in the tractor, I would stick with green. If
you own one of these, what would you do? So you'd just stick with the ethylene glycol?
I got green in mine,
there you go.
I have no plans on changing. Green works fine. Biggest thing is, and Mike says it in just about every other video we do, we harp on keeping that radiator clean. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did not know they switched over. I need to tell people that. Okay. No pre-catalyst to remove nitrogen from the intake charge. It's the 21st century. I can only guess, and I read this several times, I can only guess the author is saying that there should be no pre-catalyst. I didn't understand nitrogen.
Nitrogen usually has to deal with NOx, which is an emission of diesels. However, the only thing that's typically in place to counteract NOx in diesels are DEF systems, which DEF systems are not required on anything per the EPA unless it's over 75 horses. The HX comes standard with a DEF system, but this big RX 7340 behind me does not have a DEF system. It just has the big canister. And all that's trying to do is minimize the amount of soot that is being released, which essentially soot is just unburned fuel. So again, going back even to the regen, trying to incorporate them a little bit, no, there is no pre-catalyst unless you have a DES system. The only thing that the DPF is going to do along with the regen system is to minimize that soot, and that canister is going to capture that soot. Wait until it sees a good time to run a regeneration, and then it's going to inject a little bit more fuel to get everything really hot and just essentially finish burning off all the unburnt fuel that it
1100 degrees, I looked it up. Now the next one kind of bothers me a little bit, but his tractor, his money. Remember people, there's a little tune-up called a delete kit. As a bonus, you get 10% more power and never have to worry or think about this topic ever again. Did mine, a 2025 NS6010, the day after I got it. If he brings it in for anything broken, would you notice this?
I think I would quickly notice the giant missing canister, and I'm sure, I don't do sales, but I'm sure there's something in your paperwork stating that if you delete this and it's under warranty, it will no longer be under warranty.
I couldn't imagine spending $30,000 to $50,000 to $70,000 on a machine and then taking the warranty off of it, which is what would happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's, these don't fail. I mean, it's so rare that I can't imagine doing it anyway. I don't know, whatever. Yep, more power to you. Love your videos. Mike, they're very informative and helpful, and above all, honest. Okay, finally, somebody writes to me. So far, we've had 9 Jakes in a row. Thank you for sharing your real world experience, which beats the heck out of listening to someone read a company propaganda script. Thank you. Ha! Enough said on that. And the last one by Joe the Farmer. Joe is a friend of the company. He's local, and we've done business with Joe. Joe the Farmer, I watch his videos, he watches my videos. It was on the Baumolite, what one did you do?
Stump grinder.
Stump grinder. Baumolite makes some of the best equipment on the market. Let's see that thing eat. Joe's right, except that it was a customer's, and we couldn't hardly go out and remove stumps with it.
No. That's poor practice.
Sometimes, though, we do field tests. You know, we would do that. We would field test if a tractor had a complaint of, you know, X, Y, and Z, or an implement didn't do A, B, C. Then a field test certainly would be in order. But this thing was brand spanking shiny new. Yeah.
No.
Well,
Still had polished teeth on it. I'm not messing with them.
well, that's cool, man. I appreciate it. You know, I'm not as busy as you are, so taking time out of your busy day, I do appreciate it.
Anytime.
And I really appreciate the one person, Scuba Traveler 100, that said something nice about me. So we need to do this more often.
Absolutely.
It only takes a minute or two.
It does, and you know, we apologize. Sometimes it is difficult to get to every comment right away, but there's times like these we like to sit down and kind of go over some of the highlights, and you know, if there are questions that need a little answering, try to take the time to go ahead and do it in the proper way.
We read every comment. We address every comment, unless it doesn't need addressing. Like, hey, great video. Well, you know, what do you say to that?
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. You know, but we do, and we pay attention to each one of these, especially when it's a subscriber. So, thank you, folks, and we'll do this again very soon.
Thank you.